So I'm sitting here in my little recording booth, aka my car, and a message that's been really long overdue, or I should say something that's been in progress, is the the sort of thinking and talking and praying with Whitney about where we're going to end up in a church. And we've got some definite ideas around what we think is a good fit for us. But of course, we know that you just sort of lift these things to God and see what He does with it. Um, the first church we found, we never would have expected that we would have ended up there. It didn't have anything that we sort of wanted on paper, and yet we ended up being really blessed, by that. And so now we're sort of saying, all right, what do we feel like God is saying to us? Where do we think He wants us to sort of go? And so I thought it might be useful to sort of share where we're at a little bit in terms of some of the things that we're looking for. Not only because, I think it's sort of telling as to sort of where we are in our faith and on our journey, but who knows, maybe in sharing this, it'll help us to sort of get connected, right? Because we're praying for this and asking God to show us, a family, a church family where we're going to be living, which is in Berwyn. But you know, I think with a lot of things, not all, but a lot of things, it's sort of praying and doing too, and just kind of continuing to take steps. And so, this is a an attempt to sort of outline some of the things that we're looking for in that church family. I believe all of these things are just based in Scripture that we see there. In contrast to what I sort of see as, lots of churches that are sort of, 10% sort of scriptural or, biblical, and like 90% cultural. Okay, there's a lot of things that we sort of do, and yet when I'm like looking in Scripture, I don't really see where it says, to sort of do that. So, um, we really, I think, are just trying to sort of stick to the basics. We literally just want to be with people who love the Lord, who are reading their Bibles, on some sort of regular basis, that are praying, and the kind of prayer where they're listening, and they're able to come to us occasionally and just say, like, look, I'm praying for you. The Lord put you on my mind, and this is what I'm seeing, or pr- prophetic visions and dreams, I think, are real, and I'm used to being in a community now where those kinds of things are possible. I'd love to see a place where we can sharpen each other, where we can, sort of quickly become known and get to know people, old and young. We'd love to have mentors, older married couple that would take the time to listen and invest in us and get to know us, and speak into our marriage and share wisdom, good godly wisdom. It's super hard to find, it feels like, to find an older, happily married couple that's like just loves each other, joyful, that that can give us good godly wisdom. And we'd love to have that. We'd love to have a community where children are just loved on, where adults take the time to get to know the kids, and get to know us and how we parent, and can become a part of our family and actually help with that, just to actually discipline the kids. We believe that it takes, a village, and we want people who can come in and speak into our kids' lives, and tell them the truth about who they are, and how wonderfully they're made, and how, smart they are, creative they are, kind and gentle and loving. Those things are important to us, that we have a church family where on birthday celebrations we're like, we got to invite, a lot of the folks from the church, because they just love Bowden, or they love Lucas. Like, that is huge for us, is to have, a place where that's the case. And just a genuineness. I think, a lot of churches, they have sort of the welcoming committees, and they want you to feel welcome, but like, it's like, then you kind of sit down, and you kind of look around, and it's like, we want people who are just really intentional. Like, you know what, hey, we got to have you guys for dinner. We or come join us, or and we're looking to do the same thing. So we're not, I don't think, asking for something that we're not willing to give or already giving. It takes time to get to know people, and we've sort of realized that with 2 young kids, it's really difficult for us to sort of live life with people around a schedule, like a Wednesday night group outside of church, right? So yeah, we can do that. We want to do, we want to have a Bible study, maybe even host it at our home. But more importantly, I think, is that we've sort of realized that, what, on Friday night when we would rather just stay home and watch a movie by ourselves, we need to maybe invite another family, or we need to go do something with some other folks and just sort of open our lives up a little bit, because we're too busy to just sort of do what we want to do and then develop relationships. So we've got to invite people into our lives, and we have to, spend time during, sort of family time has to include other people now, other families, I think, other singles, people who aren't married, don't have kids, are old, young, whatever. Like, we need to be able to just welcome folks into our lives, and we hope to be welcomed into other people's lives as a result. And I think that as far as like the traditional, or the sort of the things that most people look for, like the worship music and the Sunday school and the sermons, we we want scripture, to be center when people are talking. It's like, as soon as someone opens their mouth to talk about scripture, it's like their interpretation, which is great, and we love people who can tie things together and teach. But at the end of the day, it's just, a chance to get bathed and cleansed in scripture on when we do come together. We love corporate worship. I mean, personally, I love the chance to sort of be led into worship, and to be able to have a chance to sort of participate, in that in some way, which sounds crazy because I'm an awful singer. Whitney can vouch for that. I mean, it's hard for her not to just sort of giggle during during services, but I want a chance to come and to sing, and to be sort of led, and to clap, and to just participate in it in my own little way. And I want to serve. I think Whitney does too. Like, we in our last church, in small ways, would help out with doing a devotional, or helping with the whatever, Sunday school, or collections, or getting there early to pray with people. So we'll look for those things, and we appreciate sort of flexibility, because it's like you get up and a kid's sick or something, and it's like we don't go one Sunday. And I think also that like we consider ourselves to be sort of members of the church with a capital C, right? So it's like our church family in San Jose is in Campbell, California. It's still our family. Like, we're going to go to church there again, I'm sure. I pray, Lord willing, and we stay in contact with those people. And so, we want to find a place here where, yes, we're in agreement, we understand what they sort of stand for, but also, we, anything that's like too member or too heavy-handed in terms of like a program and like signing up and this and that, it's like, look, we want to be a committed member of a church, and I hope that comes through, like, sort of right away. But we're not looking to sign up for like a bunch of programs, like we don't think that you can program church. In fact, our goal is not to sort of outsource our Christianity to a church, and say, hey, you know what, you have a ministry that cares for the poor, so we're going to write you a check, and then we're covered. Like, we've cared for the poor. Like, we want to care for the poor ourselves at times. We want to find people who want to do that. We want to be equipped to handle the various situations that we face as believers. We want to understand how to approach situations that are happening, like the refugee crisis, right? It's like everyone is so divided on this right now, and I feel like where I'm at is that, I just think of even Jesus, right? We're getting into Christmas season, and it's like, here he was trying to flee one area to go to another, and he really wasn't that welcomed. And this is like the plight of the Son of God, right? So when God chose to come on this earth as a human, like he was a refugee. He was escaping a murderous king who was out to sort of destroy him. And you know, and I feel like, yes, I get the concern, I do, but then I just weigh everything against, you know, what I read in scripture and what God is sort of telling me, and what he's, I feel like, telling all of us pretty clearly. And it's like, look, like, if it's my will, which is an important step one, so determining what is God's will, you know, then any challenge, any enemy, any crazy thing that you think might be facing you, if I'm telling you to face that down and to welcome that, then that's what you're supposed to do. Okay? Like, you're not supposed to live in fear. Okay? You're supposed to welcome the orphan and the naked and the hungry, and to clothe them, and your enemies you're supposed to bless, and you know, on and on and on. I mean, I just read 1 Corinthians 3 and 4 this morning, and it's like, it talks about this stuff, right? It talks about it talks about welcoming people, it talks about loving people, caring for people. And I just feel like I want to be a part of a church who's not afraid to give, okay, and not afraid to suffer, and not afraid to bear the burdens of the people around them, because that's what Jesus did. That's what I see in scripture, you know. And it gets really complicated and really tricky and really heavy, and you know, all of that, I get it. But at the end of the day, like, that's what we're sort of promised as a Christian, you know. And so that's kind of where we want to be. We want to be in the mix of that. We don't want to sit on the sidelines. We want to be pushed a little bit, encouraged a lot, sharpened for sure. And I don't know. I hope this resonates with people. I hope that, you know, maybe people will leave some comments, maybe places that we should check out. We're even considering, at least I am, I'm talking to Whitney about having people at our house. I've been really blessed by some home churches. So everything's kind of in the air. We just kind of lift it to the Lord and just pray that he would just show us where we're supposed to be, and trust that, you know, that's where we're going to end up. So I hope sharing this is of some value, more than, you know, me just sort of rambling on video. But I'm really looking forward to it. I know Whitney as well. We've sort of been in a transition where we haven't had that church community, and we really want and need that. And so that's the hope. That's the prayer. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.